choose for your favorite player at 18 points.
We see both of these players on the same deck, playing that Mew VMAX with the Genesect, with the Meloetta, the whole Fusion Strike build. They've both even got the Ice Cube hanging out in here. It's going to be a quick mirror match.
This is a real mirror match.
Yeah, I mean, especially with these prize cards, very similar here. Both players with a Fusion Strike energy in the prizes. Really not great in the mirror. Also a 1-1 Mew VMAX, not too bad.
Yep, and we're going to see a little bit of play there with the power tablets, the boss's order. These are cards that occasionally can really help you out here, but we've seen time and time again players love to target down the Genesect V in this matchup, really go for the heart of the deck. The draw engine that one boss's orders for Konsta could be an issue.
There's a lot of interesting things at play here. I'm not sure if either of these players knows what the other is playing. They'll figure out very soon it is indeed a mirror match, and I think that smile from Konsta kind of says it. Smiling at both of these players, starting at Genesect and Dion on the right, beginning this game with that Battle VIP Pass.
Battle VIP Pass, obviously one of the best cards that we have available to us in the TCG right now. Able to search you out those basic Pokemon. Got to be looking at those Genesect V. It is one of the go-to Pokemon in this deck. You just have to draw your cards. Hopefully you can thin this hand down as well. You've only seen one card from the hand, and it looks pretty good, Chip.
Yep, that's about the best one you could choose to be in that hand currently. Now, Dion going to take a moment to check the prize cards. Something you want to make note of in this matchup, I feel like, is definitely your Fusion Strike energy count, because if either player can ever establish all 4 Fusion Strike energy in play, that makes KOing your opponent's Mew VMAX pretty light work.
Yeah, Meloetta is able to work its way into the mix. If you have all 4 of those, that's 280 damage. Just need 1 amplifier to get the job done on the Mew VMAX and steal 3 prize cards out of nowhere with potentially just a 1 prize Pokemon.
And how about this, Kyle? A second Battle VIP Pass. Not too bad. I definitely wouldn't mind sitting in Dion's shoes. Though I will say there is a bit to be worried about in this mirror match when you are going second, or when you are going first, I should say, as the opponent going second can pull off a turn 1 attack.
Yeah, knockouts definitely can happen very early in this matchup. And you do see the Genesect on the other side, so it's not as worrying as when you see the Mew, but there's plenty of ways to move these Pokemon around. And sometimes you see players like to promote a single prize Pokemon so that they're not giving up those prize cards.
Right.
In this matchup, it's not as relevant because we have the 3 prizer in the Mew VMAX, but we'll see.
I mean, it is still kind of hard to get to the 3 prize KO. It is possible. I mean, we've seen it happen multiple times, right? The double turbo and then just 4 damage modifiers to get there. Totally within the realm of possibility. We will see Fusion Strike System filling up this hand. Dion has placed that second Mew V down onto the bench, meaning that putting a 1 prizer in the active not going to be an option right now. Few tool cards in play, one being the Choice Belt, 2 Forest Sealstone onto the Genesect. Now we see a Fusion Strike energy being attached. Escape Rope in hand. Does Dion play this card in order to send up the Meloetta? Looks like it is a no. Fusion Strike System just drawing 2 more. Does find that Nest Ball, unfortunately, an unplayable card at this point.
And we do see the Ultra Ball in hand, but you can hold on to that, and looks like no reason to play additional cards just yet. Going to hold on to what looks like a very solid turn 2, but this does open the window for Konsta to potentially take a 2 prize knockout here if the cards fall in the right order.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that it's going to be possible here. Konsta has some solid cards, VIP Pass obviously being one of them. Feather Ball as well can fetch out a Mew V as a basic, but a couple double turbo energy, you know, there's a Choice Belt in there you can put into play. It doesn't really look like Konsta's going to be able to thin the hand size down quite enough to have an explosive turn.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot when you're playing the Mew VMAX deck. You want to get a lot of cards played. We used to joke, if you get 10 in the discard pile on turn 1, you probably had a good turn. Konsta might just be able to play 1 card into the discard pile at this state. If you're not able to play down this hand any further and draw up with the Genesect V, you're not going to be getting a solid setup in order to fight what's looking like a pretty good turn from Dion.
Yeah, I actually watched Konsta's round 1 match. He was playing up against Grant Manley, a great player from the U.S., was able to get the win. That was also a Mew VMAX mirror match, so Konsta's already played his fair share of those today. Both of these players, I'm sure, have hit at least one along their route to this point, as Mew was an extremely popular choice for our players here at the World Championships.
Konsta just going to download as much information as possible there, checking out all the counts. Looked at the fusion energies, looked at some of the supporters as well, and of course saw those Pokemon at the very beginning. So think we got all the prize cards figured out by this point, Chip.
Mapping it out excellently as we do see the VIP pass resolving with the Genesect and the Meloetta. Looks like a pair of Featherball coming down. Gonna grab 2 Mew V, I have to imagine. I did also notice a very interesting supporter as Konsta was thumbing through the deck. Looked like an Avery. What do you think of that card? And also, what kind of role could it play in this specific mirror matchup?
Right, this is one card that we saw Pablo Meza really loved in their Mew VMAX deck. It's something that when you can sneak it in at the right turn, maybe with a Meloetta in the active spot from your opponent, they have to make the worst decision imaginable. They either lose their draw engine in the Genesect, or they lose one of their Mew V. If you can target down that Pokemon later on, especially when we had cross switchers back in the day, there were some crazy things that could happen. Regardless, losing these Pokemon on board means that you're going to have a hard time continuing to draw.
Konsta choosing to just play down the choice belt, wanting to keep the option open for that potential turn 1 Melodious Echo, and did draw into a Genesect and a Fusion Strike energy. It is definitely possible at this point. 3 more cards from this Fusion Strike system. Cramomatic, that could be anything. Ultra Ball can also thin this hand down quite a bit.
Yeah, the Ultra Ball is a nice find there. It feels weird when you have one way to load up the Cramomatic and maybe try for that flip, but thinning out the hand is pretty solid here.
I think that is a Roxanne hitting the discard pile. Yes, it does look like Konsta is playing Roxanne still in this list, choosing not to play Iono. That's the way that most Mew VMAX players have gone ever since that card's released. What do you think of that inclusion, and maybe what is the benefit of Roxanne versus Iono?
Well, when players love to use Drapion V, you're probably going to be giving up early prize cards very often. And at that point of the time, you're going to lose what, 3 prize cards? That walks right into Roxanne.
Konsta doesn't find too much help off this last Fusion Strike system. A Cramomatic could add 1 more piece to the hand, but I think we are going to see Konsta miss out on this turn 1 Alessa Sparkle play. Has already committed the energy for turn as well. Now, yeah, I do believe all 3 Genesects have been used. Yes, they definitely have. So we will see Cramomatic ditching the Power Tablet. It's kind of interesting because Power Tablet is either really important in this matchup or not important at all.
Right.
Because you can have a couple of lines of play where you need them to KO a VMAX or you ignore VMAXs entirely, right?
Yep. If you have the reach to go ahead and knock out all of those Pokemon, then sure, use the boss's orders and get the job done there. But if you have to knock out a Mew VMAX, it's going to be with all of the amplifiers. When you throw away one with the Cramomatic, you probably don't care anymore.
Dion's going to start off this turn with an Ultra Ball, ditching 2 cards that are totally unplayable, Echoing Horn and that Nest Ball, not live cards. So ditch them with the Ultra Ball and find yourself something else to work with. And I have to imagine a Mew VMAX is going to be coming into play. As Dion, you've gone first, you're in a decent spot. What would be the ideal turn here in this position?
Well, if you can knock out this Pokemon in the active spot, you're going to give yourself 2 prize cards, but you're really worried about the Meloetta. That's the one Pokemon that can knock out the Mew VMAX in return. So if you can remove that fusion energy, although it is just a single prize Pokemon, it's the main threat right now.
Sure. Dion, of course, not knowing that Konsta has prized a Fusion Strike energy. So now thinking through, it looks like Mew VMAX is in hand, does have Escape Rope. Playing that, what does Konsta want to push here? Is it just another Genesect, or does the Mew V come into the active?
Well, this is one Pokemon that you have extra of. It has that for your treat if you do end up not getting knocked out this turn, although that seems pretty unlikely. And we'll see what the choice is. Looks like the Genesect draws are going to be pretty important for Konsta on this next turn, so losing this Mew is probably not the end of the world.
It will indeed be the Mew promoted. Dion's still able to take a 2-prize KO potentially this turn. We'll see if Dion recognizes the threat of Meloetta, respects the threat, I should say, maybe goes for some sort of boss's orders play, or is it going to be a 2-2-2 game where you're taking out a 2-prizer, then another 2-prizer, then another, and hoping your opponent doesn't just hit everything they need to knock out a VMAX in one hit.
Yeah, it would be the correct line here, but you don't know what your opponent has prized.
Yeah.
So it's completely reasonable to target down the Meloetta at this stage if you'd like to. You are ahead right now. Your opponent lost a huge opportunity in taking the opening prize card.
Sure. Now, if Dion could find Alessa Sparkle and maybe attack with the Meloetta for the KO, that would be pretty decent, but with this energy being committed now to the Mew V, that is not going to be an option. Ultra Ball in hand, can find another VMAX. Still one Genesect yet to go. Debating ditching this Iono can be a really important card to come back in this high-octane mirror match where it's really only going to be lasting a few turns, regardless of who is the winner.
And we do see the power tablet is tossed away there. Boss's order still held in the hand. So maybe this is going to be a 2-2-2 game here. Holding on to the boss's orders. In this retreat, knock out this Mew V. Maybe chain together those last two knockouts by just finding that supporter card.
Still one Genesect yet to be utilized. More cards able to be drawn. I wonder if Dion would like to maybe put Path to the Peak in play this turn. That could be solid as well.
No guarantees on the other side that there is a way to counter that. Just 4 cards in the hand, I believe, on the other side. So could catch Konsta, just not with the right cards.
We do see Alessa Sparkle being drawn here from Dion. Also a Judge, so we could see the Path plus Judge play potentially. Will be the Alessa Sparkle here.
I do like this. Just get these energies out of the deck. It is nice to have the energy on the Meloetta at this stage. If you do draw into the other fusion energy that is in the prize cards, then you have that Pokemon charged up, ready to go.
Yep.
You didn't want to play the boss anyways, so this was basically get a free energy and take a nice knockout that your opponent just handed you.
So having that cleansing gloves is pretty interesting. It actually couldn't be helpful to KO a VMAX in this matchup. It does, I guess, function pretty similarly to the Choice Belt, but you know, maybe if there's ever a Psychic Leap play on a Meloetta, that's something that could come up. But for now, Dion will retreat into Mew VMAX, copy that Melodious Echo, and also does place Path to the Peak in play. Konsta crossing the fingers to find a replacement stadium or that valuable Lost Vacuum. And Konsta does have a stadium card in hand, but I think it is a Path to the Peak.
Yep, that's not the one you're looking for. Of course, you have the Ultra Ball, so you can thin down a little bit before you use the supporter for the turn, which looks like Judge.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can line up everything you need to at least attack this turn. Ultra Ball gets the VMAX. You have double turbo in hand, so you know you're at least going to be launching a Techno Blast into your opponent's active. I think a lot is going to ride on this Judge. Look at that, 3 Lost Vacuum in a row in Konsta's deck right now.
That's not where you need them. I'd love to see that in the hand, or at least hanging out with the Judge after you play that card. And you start to wonder, if you find the right card here, maybe you have a way to come back. But if not, this could be a really ugly turn.
Konsta actually choosing to get a Mew V off this Ultra Ball as opposed to the VMAX. What do you make of this play?
Well, it means you're already losing. If you find the Lost Vacuum, then Genesect can draw you back up and you can find the right cards.
Yeah.
And if not, maybe Mew VMAX wasn't going to be enough anyways.
Yeah, if there's no stadium bump off these 4 Judge cards, do you think we'll see Konsta likely concede this and move to the next game?
Absolutely, especially if there's no Mew VMAX. If you miss the attack this turn.
If you at least get the VMAX, you can stick around, I suppose. Yeah.
It is a match that can move relatively quickly. There is the Mew VMAX and multiple Forest Sealstone. Is that the way you want to use it?
Well, sometimes it's what you have to do. Now, Konsta also could, in this position, leave the Path in play, try to slow Dion down a little bit, keep your own Forest Sealstone hanging around. You don't really need anything else this turn. You could theoretically dig for the one-hit KO. It is possible. But if I'm remembering right, Konsta did prize a power tablet this game. So with one already in the discard pile, one in the prize cards, it's actually not going to be possible.
Yeah, I could see merit to leaving the Path out when your opponent doesn't have Melodious Echo to copy. You could force them to have the other energy for the Mew VMAX or the switching effect in order to reset attacking with the Mew VMAX. But in this state, you're just going to see Melodious Echo time and time again, and there's an opportunity where if the 4th fusion comes out, you could lose this Mew VMAX.
We do see Lost Vacuum will get rid of Path to the Peak, adding a card to the Lost Zone for each of our 2 competitors here, and 6 cards utilized from this Genesect. Still plenty of cards able to be drawn this turn. We do see Cramomatic in this hand. Can ditch either a Switch card or possibly the Power Tablet. I actually would feel pretty decent about Konsta's chances of getting the knockout here if there were enough Power Tablets in the deck. 1 in hand plus a Cramomatic, 2 Genesect still to use. Doesn't look like it's going to line up here, though.
Yeah, this is not the best hand. Some of these cards can be played down if you'd like. It's going to be the promotion, the Switch card played,
Sure.
and then throwing away the Power Tablet now, as that plan is out the window.
Does hit a heads. Now Konsta able to add any card that he so chooses to the hand. Looks like it will be the Lost Vacuum coming to the front here. Adding that to the hand now. I wonder if there's a word where Konsta maybe tries to Lost Vacuum away both Forest Sealstone on Dion's end. There are two in play.
Yeah, there's that option potentially if you'd like. You could also just target this card if you'd like.
The Cleansing Gloves.
Yeah, the Cleansing Gloves for the +30 if you're worried about that. But gonna remove one Forest Seal and try to go for another.
Yeah, it's really the only way that this play kind of works out. You also do kind of force your opponent's hand, force them into using their V-Star power this turn, as you know, there's a chance, of course, you find that other Lost Vacuum in the future. Konsta having Pal Pad now to the hand, that would allow him to shuffle back 2 in any combination of supporter cards, up to 2, I should say, and that can bring back a card we saw discarded early, that Roxanne. That could be a big way to come back if your opponent does pull off the big Melodious Echo for a one-hit KO.
So many cards played down, they're just not being played optimally. And now really trying to draw into that Lost Vacuum. We don't see it.
Yeah, did not see the Lost Vacuum. The Roxanne did hit the hand, so that's an option next turn. It will just be a Techno Blast with that 190 base. You see one Choice Belt, 220, and a Power Tablet all the way up to 250 damage. A lot of damage, but new VMAX still standing strong in the active.
Yeah, it always feels awkward in this matchup to just leave damage on board, especially when you have access to the MUV and you can use Psychic Leap. We're not going to see that. It's not really the prerogative right here for Dion. Instead, we're looking for knockouts, and that's a good way to do it if you can add that Choice Belt, maybe a few more amplifiers into the mix.
Yeah, without access to this last Fusion Strike energy, it is still in the prize cards. Dion is likely looking for a Boss's Orders this turn. I do think I see a Escape Rope in hand, so that could be an option. But Cramomatic could just find the boss itself. Let's see, this is a big flip, and it is indeed a heads. Any card Dion likes now being able to go into this hand. Is it going to be the boss grab?
It looks like it. Gonna promote that to the tippy top, add that to the hand, and can target down another one of these V Pokemon on the bench. Take those 2 prize cards. I'm not sure I saw the hand right, but maybe there's a way to bring back some more Boss Orders with the Pal Pad. If you can have access to that, that's going to be pretty sweet. You play this Boss's Orders, then you shuffle back 2 of them, and you're ready to go for that final swing.
I think Dion wants to set up for a situation where all he needs next turn is a Boss's Orders. If he can get a double turbo onto that other Mew, he can ensure that if he just finds Boss's Orders with the Choice Belt already being established there, and I guess also just Genesect in play, Choice Belt not even being relevant, you can KO whatever you want. And as long as you don't have to use Forest Sealstone this turn, or your opponent doesn't find that Lost Vacuum, it gets to hang around.
We will see if those cards are lined up for Dion. Has played this fantastically so far. Just targeting down the prize cards in this race, and it's working out here.
3 cards now from Fusion Strike system, still 1 more yet to come. That's actually a huge grab, the second Forest Sealstone. Konsta, I believe, only playing 3 copies of that Lost Vacuum. With 2 already down, there is no way for Konsta to remove both of those pieces. One will get to stick around, guaranteed to find you the winning piece, potentially on the next turn.
The last thing that would guarantee this is if you find the double turbo energy. You can play that onto the Mew VMAX. You're guaranteed to have the attacker lined up, ready to go in combination with that Boss's Orders. Not seeing that just yet, though.
Doesn't look like it was able to be found. Dion maybe could have done 1 or 2 things differently to get another card out of the hand. There's an Escape Rope in hand, also a switch card, so if you could Rope, then Boss. I don't know how valuable those 2 cards really are at this point.
I agree.
Now Konsta beginning this turn has a Fusion Strike energy in hand. Meloetta could become a decent 1 prize attacker, even though you're only dealing 140 damage with Melodious Echo. It's enough to take out this heavily damaged VMAX. You see a Cramomatic in the hands. The only option there would be an Escape Rope. Is this the time for Avery to maybe help you out?
Yeah, you start to wonder, what does the prize map look like from this stage? Of course, 3 prize cards staring you in the face there. Does it involve you having to buy a couple extra turns with this Roxanne and maybe a path to the peak? We'll really have to see. I don't think that disrupting the bench right here with Avery is going to do much.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Roxanne and maybe hope to find that path like you pointed out. We do have some updates from out in the field as these players are shuffling here for the Roxanne. Konsta has played. Pramawat has won his match against Alex Szymanski. 6-0-2 record. He will be moving into the top 8 here of the World Championships. We also know Cyrus has gotten to 6-2. She's a player who's going to be on that bubble at this point. Crossing the fingers, maybe hoping that some of these other matches tie, so there's a higher chance that another 6-2 or 3 makes it in.
Yeah. Well, that's good news for the big cat. as Snorlax is trying to win a world championship.
Now Genesect drawing a couple more cards. Cramomatic could find anything Konsta desires if the coin flip goes his way. We did see a Tails moment a moment ago. Is it time to flip once again?
It's so difficult to maneuver through this situation. You know your opponent just only needs a couple things to go right from this point forward, but playing to those outs, 2 cards in the hand for your opponent now, and it doesn't even look like
Nope.
resources are there.
Yeah, no path to the peak left in the deck. Not even going to be an option. Of course, Dion, we do know, is still holding on to those Forest Seal Stones, so there would, even if path comes into play, be an out. You have to play to every little tiny opportunity you have to win, though, here as Konsta. It is looking more and more out of reach, however.
Will another Forest Seal Stone help?
Not when you've already used your V-Star power.
Well, everyone is well equipped here. All 5 Pokemon in play have a tool. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference, though. Let's see if Dion has what it takes to close out here with the 3rd card and a Forest Seal Stone.
Yeah, do you think we need to make sure that Mew VMAX goes to the Lost Zone? Here it goes. Get that out of play entirely. Not that it would ever really be relevant. Neither of these players playing anyway to recover cards from the discard pile anyway, but we want to keep the board in check, keep that board state as it should. Now we see Genesect drawing 4 on the Fusion Strike system. There is the boss's orders. Does Dion go all in on the play, hoping to draw? Oh, has the double turbo from the Forest Seal Stone. Everything needed, of course, with that boss's orders hit, and that will lead to Dion winning game number 1 of this win and in match.
Mirror match, 21 minutes down. Dion up 1-0 so far. What a great start it feels like there. Had a great understanding of what to do in the matchup. Went first, was able to avoid that turn 1 knockout from the opponent, and really just, you know, keep your foot on the gas. Eventually you're going to get there.
Now Dion will, I guess there is a question. Does Konsta ever choose to go second? We'll talk about that here in a moment. Let's recap what happened in game number 1. Konsta went second, had an opportunity to potentially pull off a turn 1 attack, was unable to make it happen. Dion was able to strike first by going first, get the first attack off, take a 2-prize KO. Heavy damage on this Mew VMAX, but able to take 4 prizes with this Pokemon was enough to ultimately carry Dion through this game.
Just had exactly enough resources there, was able to draw up, find the boss's orders, use that Forest Seal Stone to close things out, move up 1-0 in what may be the biggest match of their life to date. Man,
so
everything's on the line here.
Everything is on the line, and as Konsta, it's 1 more loss and you are out of top 8 contention. So the question becomes first or second. You could make an argument both ways. Kyle Sablehouse, what would you pick?
I'm going second.
Going second. High roll, hope to hit the Fusion Strike, energy, the Alessa Sparkle, everything you need to take a 2-prize KO.
You have 27 minutes. A tie does nothing for you. You have to run hot. You have to hope that the cards are on your side. Maybe going second is going to be the key, and if your opponent chooses to go first in game 3, cool.
Yeah.
Do it again.
It didn't work out for Konsta going second in game 1. However, we'll see if he agrees with you, though, and decides the second is his best chance. That would definitely be the more aggressive call. Can he really afford to play it safe in this spot, I guess, is the question. And Konsta has to make that calculation and make that determination here.
Yeah, these are the differences that could lead to you becoming a world champion or trying again next year.
Well, I certainly hope for Konsta's sake that he did not go second, as there's not really much happening in this hand. And
oh my.
Honestly, going second isn't going to be much better. Or going first isn't going to be much better.
You can go 7th with that hand. I don't think anything's happening. Oh, it's Ice Cube!
Ice Cube and 2 Fusion Strike energy in the prizes. We're getting into this game. Let's get down to that table. Konsta has no playable cards. Forest Seal Stone could be attached to Ice Cube. but it's not a Pokemon V. Can't even use that Star Alchemy V-Star power. Dion draws return and has an opportunity to win this game right now.
Yeah, we see the Ultra Ball in hand, can at least get a Pokemon V. I believe Forest Sealstone is in the hand, so that could lead to a Battle VIP pass to continue to draw.
I think Dion has it. There's a Fusion Strike Energy in the hand. There's a Forest Sealstone.
Alessa Sparkle.
This Ultra Ball can just get a Pokemon V, use that Forest Sealstone, Alessa Sparkle, attach the active, and block Slider can KO your opponent's active Pokemon, sending you into top 8 of the World Championships.
We'll have to see if any of the prize cards get in the way there.
Yeah,
I mean, they got flashed so quickly.
I think he's got it. Just needs to get a Pokemon V out. There is one Fusion Strike Energy prize for Dion, not two. Let's make sure he just sees it all. You want to make sure and double check every little thing at this spot. Making a mistake could be detrimental, but I think he has seen the line. Forest Sealstone, Star Alchemy, Alessa Sparkle, target the 2 Pokemon, and as long as 2 Fusion Strike Energy are not prized, Dion Lee moves on to the top 8 of our Pokemon TCG World Championships.
Wow. I guess that's why you go second. That is the worst hand I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, Konsta's just laid it out on the table. That's what Dion is laughing at this moment. It is just truly an unplayable situation, and it feels so bad as Konsta. You get to this point, 5-1-1. You get on stream for the win and in, and your deck just fails to cooperate for you in game number 2. Dion Lee moving on to top cut here in Yokohama, Japan.
3 matches away potentially from becoming a world champion at this stage. That is exactly why you play the game. That's why you play Mew VMAX. It gives you an opportunity to make plays like that.
Konsta kind of recognizing nothing I could have done. We saw the shrug there. It was not his fault at all. No plays were made incorrectly. Just did not pan out with that opening hand. And Dion moves on. Konsta will still come away with, you know, probably a top 32 or top 16 finish, depending on how things exactly shape up. So he'll still come away with a decent amount of cash, tons of prize cards. Those top 32 bags they get are pretty sweet.